Are you listening? Damn.
And the ball is loose. Third and 4.
Welcome to another edition of AFC North Talk. And by the way, chat, we are here on time. We just, we like to just talk about among us. So, Q, you want to say something?
Look, man, we be behind the stage warming up so we could give y'all a good show. Y'all out here like 5 minutes late. And I'm not going to lie. We held up the show for 2 more minutes just because y'all was trying to give us penalties. You know what I mean? We got to stand our ground on this one, you know?
We on brand.
You know what I mean?
We were ready to go.
We trying to get y'all warmed up. You know, we don't want to start the show with dry chat. Somebody pull a hammy in chat because we trying to do too much too early. We are doing what we can to make sure that this show can stay healthy, entertaining. And look at Ace's background, by the way. He got that wall painted that looks very nice with the black frame. It's going to be a shame that he's going to have to see so much disappointment this year with that background up there. But yes, blame me. Because somebody in chat was like, who's holding up the show? Definitely Quincy. And I decided, yes, it would definitely be me today. Hold it up for one more minute. You know what I mean? You know.
This is true, by the way. This actually did happen behind the scenes.
Oh, 100% happened. Like, no.
This is not a joke, everyone. This has really happened behind the scenes. And it was great.
Like, we were all there.
Yeah, Q, I don't know who was it. Q was like, oh no, they're gonna.
I gotta make sure my man Sonny don't get burnt out like I did about this about this Lamar Jackson stuff. Like I had with the Baker Mayfield thing. I'm trying to talk to the team and everything, and then y'all out here hurry it up, get it up. Okay,
hurry up, guys.
Q was giving me some therapy. Right?
Like Sonny thought Q was joking about delaying the show, and Sonny said, "All right, I'm gonna hit start," and Q said, "No, one more minute."
No. Like You know what I mean? Hey, so your kid, like, you need to do something right now. You about to do it right now? You about to make him wait 5 more minutes because it's like, all right, now.
5 minutes.
You know what I mean? I ain't even doing nothing. I'm not. I got all my stuff. I'm sitting down. You wait now.
Ray Rack here with a super chat says, "Sorry, Sonny, this Lamar drama is not going to end anytime soon." Mm-hmm. If I'm him, I don't even think of signing that tag until the week 10 deadline unless they give me what I want. This is interesting, right? I've been thinking about this too, the whole transition tag that Lamar got. It sucks for him, right? Because right now people are saying, oh, he's going to get the exclusive tag right before the transition tag happened. I think the exclusive tag was what, 46 million?
Yeah, 45, something like that.
45. Yeah. Okay. So obviously he's about roughly 10 million less. Where do you recoup that, right? That 10 million might not ever come. So, and you would think that's even more incentive to sign. And I heard there's somebody told me this, which I don't know. I mean, sounds like a good idea, I guess, that the Colts, if they're interested in Lamar, they might wait after the draft so they didn't have to give the 4th overall pick, right? And then they can give the following 2 years first round pick. I mean, that could happen, right? Any team also, by the way, can say to the Ravens, look, we want what is the contract with Lamar, blah, blah, blah. I think we have a deal with Lamar. Instead of doing this dance to see if you guys are going to match it, let's trade straight up. I'll give you 2 first. Here's the 3rd also, so you don't match it. Let me go, right? They could do that. Steve Bisciotti talk. He had an interview with the Russell Street Report where Bisciotti said, which is something that people had thought about. He said, look, it looks like Bisciotti has been in the negotiations. So let's start with that. Which kind of makes sense, right? Big
the franchise quarterback. Yeah.
Big check. Bisciotti's not an owner that is in the.
I would think all 32 owners would be in.
I would think for a player like this, this is the one where you expect the owner to get involved. Yeah.
I mean, like, even if it was just like TJ Watt or Myles Garrett, they're probably in the room for that too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So Bisciotti said that the thing was for him that they will leave Lamar thinking like, oh, we're close. We're close. We're basically just a little bit, right? Probably the next day we can finish. And he said that almost alluded that this happened a couple of times. And then the following day when they meet, it was like the progress that happened, it was like it was talking to a different Lamar. And he essentially said that he think it's just the players union pushing for Lamar to get something that the players union want, and that's right now where they're stuck, right?
Yeah.
I would also consider like, when you negotiate directly with your boss, you go want to appear a little bit more receptive in person than like you're gonna get home and you're gonna be like, actually, nah, I don't want to do any of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so you sit in a meeting with your boss, like, yeah, these are all great ideas, and you leave the meeting.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Like, you know, if you send me an insulting offer and you're the owner of the Ravens, I'm not about to be like, that's terrible. But I am about to get home and be like, nah, we ain't doing that. He on some, like, you know. So like, I know Bashadi, like he's thinking in a different way, but also I think he's kind of unaware of like he is the owner of the Ravens. Like, that's going to require people kind of react to it a little differently.
Okay, but I guess I don't think the Ravens offer, again, what's out there is a bad offer. It's basically the second biggest guaranteed money out there.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I don't know. I go back and forth, to be honest. I as I was telling Q, I am tired of this shit. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
I'm
only
like,
March. You have until July.
I know, but no, this is not like it started this month.
Hey man,
Look,
to the lady like 2 years
after the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, everybody was like, "Where's Baker gonna go? He gonna get traded here. He gonna get traded here." I remember people be like, "Oh, you're a fool if you don't think Baker Mayfield gets traded for it in a hot second because somebody would love to pick him up immediately." It took like 5 months to get that man traded. Like, it's gonna take a while. Quarterback's one of them things.
The problem is the Ravens really cannot do anything. Right, they can't. We will talk about free agency right now or very soon. The Ravens are basically stuck. What do we do? And
we was stuck with that Baker money, 5th-year option.
Yeah. So anyway, so
the other thing, overall pick. That was a crazy thing.
Can I ask this about Lamar? It's going to change the topic a little bit. So if anybody has anything else on the where he, this part of the negotiation, we should stay here because I'm going to pivot a little bit.
Okay. Well, the only other wrinkle, I guess, that I wanted to add with Lamar is I do agree with something that he said. He said on Twitter, like 133, but I need an agent, right?
Yeah.
And if the contract that is out there, that again, Chris. Can you pronounce his last name, Tony?
Mortensen. Yeah,
Mortensen. If that contract is really the contract that he got offered, right? This is all if, right? Because we don't know for sure. But if that is really an offer that he got, I mean, an agent, I don't think the agent can do much better than what he's getting. They might get a couple extra million guarantee. The question is, are those couple extra million guarantee is worth the 3%? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I think what an agent could be like where those, like you said, where those guarantees are they in roster bonuses, are they in workout bonuses, they started the league year type stuff, right? Sure. That's the stuff that the agent can help him with. But I mean, the NFLPA is probably helping with that too. So,
well, the agent would get, the number would be bigger.
Yeah.
The up to would be bigger. The number that would be announced media wise would be bigger, where it would be like, well, Lamar Jackson signs, deal worth up to $300 million, right? Because that's the part that the agent really wants in there, because that's obviously a good thing for them. I wonder, and I don't know, what percentage does the agent get paid off of? Do they get paid off of the guaranteed rate, or do they get paid off of the total?
Whatever money he gets 3%.
So like every payment he gets
right?
3 of.
Yeah,
okay.
Every check
you get.
No. Well, what I heard, somebody was talking like how the agents work. They were saying like at the end of the year, every contract that this agent negotiated for him, not only the let's say the Ravens, but let's say he finds an endorsement. All these contracts that he gets at the end of the year, they add it and say, "This is how much you owe me." So they don't take it directly from the check. The player has to write a check to the agent of that amount.
And did Lamar never have an agent ever?
No, he can't. Which, I mean, draft picks should not come with an agent, by the way. That first.
So he didn't have an agent when he got drafted.
He didn't, but he could, but he didn't.
Okay, so I was wondering, I'm like, did something happen with him and an agent where like he got robbed?
No. He came without the agent because I mean
Okay.
they're all slotted deals, right, for the rookie. So
Was it that he was just trying to give that money to his mom or keep it in the family or something?
I guess, yeah.
You might just be a DIY kind of dude, though. You know what I mean? Like we all know those guys are like don't want to get nothing. I can make that at home. Like you know what I mean? He just might be like that. Like I think it's like, well, why I got to get an agent where I can look up a couple YouTube videos and do this myself? Like you know, this ain't gonna be that hard. You know, now you out here trying to fix your carburetor on a Sunday. Like that's just that. I think Lamar. He
or
is
you could be like me. You know, I tried to paint this room by myself. I got on YouTube. I went to
that's
Home
what I'm
Depot.
saying.
I got the tools, and then about 3 hours in, I was like, "This is hard as hell." So let me go ahead and get on Thumbtack. I'm not doing this.
As a man who has wasted a lot of money because my pride tells me I could do that myself. That don't look that hard. I understand what Lamar is going through right now because I 100% feel like if I was a quarterback, I'd be like, this still can't be that hard to negotiate. Why I gotta pay somebody to do this? And then, you know, I'd be in this situation.
For example, one thing that Lamar does is he has his own apparel. Right, he didn't go with any company. He was like, "Nah, I'm gonna."
He's like a DIY kind of dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He seemed like a DIY kind of dude. I bet if you go to Lamar, he got like wood planks holding up his TV because he like you could just do this at home. You ain't gotta get nothing to like. He seems like a dude.
Era 8 apparel. He has LJ Entertainment. And he has Play Action Soul, which is his restaurant, right? Which that's fine. The other two, the entertainment business and the apparel business, he didn't outsource it, or at least he didn't had a deal with, I don't know, Under Armour, whoever.
Here's how we'll know the answer to this question. What kind of car does Lamar Jackson drive?
It's a fancy car. I can't remember, but it was a fancy car.
Is it like a G-Wagon or is it like a fancy like Italian sports car?
I almost think it was a Rolls, but I can't.
If
remember.
it's a Rolls, it's kind of in that category where it's like he could work on that himself. It'd be crazy, but like, but if he drove a pickup truck, you're like, yeah, man.
That's a wrap.
He got an F-150 Raptor.
Yeah, it's an F-250 guy.
Okay, yeah. That man brings his own generator to the locker room just in case. Like,
there you go.
Okay, Tony. I have 3 super chats and then I'll throw it to you.
Okay, yeah.
So it says Daniel Jones getting 40 plus and Lamar getting 32.4 kiss my Baltimore. By the way, right? I heard this somebody. I think it was on TV, and I was like, this is not the same because Lamar can sign the deal and he's not making 32.4. He will be. I think the average was 47.5. Right? He's making 32.4 because it's a transition tag. If Daniel Jones would have got the transition tag, he would have been making lower. Daniel Jones said, nah, I'm going to take the deal. I think Daniel Jones making like 40.5. Lamar would have been making 47.5, more guaranteed. So this is not an apples to apples comparison. If the Ravens would have been offering him 32.4 average salary, then I agree.
Is that original deal still on the table for Lamar is one of the questions that I don't know the answer to. I don't think we all know. And then the other thing is he's not playing on that tag. Like that's the one thing I think when people say, 42 for the 32, like I don't think he's playing on the track. Like either him in Baltimore figure out something that's a little bit above that, but like I don't think even Baltimore is like he's gonna play on that number. I don't think they even
not. They're hoping that. Oh, by the way, the last comment, Bushati did say that they were gonna do exclusive tag, and they moved to transition when Daniel Jones got the deal, because they were afraid that the Giants was gonna be that team. They were gonna go all in on Lamar instead of going for Daniel Jones. But once Daniel Jones got the deal, they figure I don't think the other teams are going for it because they think
that's going to be an interesting decision.
Okay, but that's what I want to talk about, right? Let me pivot real quick because that's what I want to talk about. This whole like. Okay, because I think we can all agree at this point, the Ravens kind of have the upper hand in these negotiations, right? Like the Lamar is now on the open market.
He's synced in.
No, but I'm saying so. Like, but his
you're
side
saying like
I will go get this money somewhere else. Okay, right now that like they can go. I believe that the deadline passed where people can actually talk to Lamar now, right? He can actually go.
It's Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah, and we haven't heard no reports of him visiting anybody, right?
The only thing we heard was the Colts were clearing some salary, but nobody knew why.
But no one's. So maybe people are keeping this under wraps, right? And obviously that can be the case. This could be the case that like tomorrow, Schefter tweets like Lamar is really close to a deal with X, Y, and Z team. So maybe that's happening.
By the way, Colts, if you want to clear $20 million of salary, you could just trade us to Forrest Buckner. We'll give you a 5th round pick. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and do that.
Easy.
We'll do that.
Easy money.
Easy.
But I do think, look, we talked about this before, right? I mean, Sonny, to give you credit here, you called this, like, I think last time we talked about this before the season started, you said, hey, just give him the non-exclusive tag. Let him go out there, say, hey, Lamar, go see what you can get, and we'll match the best offer you can get, right? And like, and doing that as sort of a way of like trying to be fair to Lamar and work up some goodwill. Don't you guys feel like that this is actually going to lead to, I think there's a 0% chance Lamar Jackson ever plays another down for Baltimore. I think that all of a sudden this whole like sending Lamar out to the open market to say you're not worth what you think you are has actually backfired on the Ravens in that I think it's building up bad blood between Lamar and the Ravens to the point where I don't expect that there's any chance Lamar Jackson signs a contract with the Baltimore Ravens, doesn't sign the franchise tag. Like he's not playing for Baltimore another down is my feeling I have today. And it's, because of the way this kind of played out, it just feels like now there's so much bad blood in the water.
Yeah, this is gonna get nasty no matter what.
Right?
And it's like I don't want to say no chance, right? Because I think Lamar's demonstrated what makes the most sense for him business wise. He might just suck up and do. Yeah. So if the Ravens do offer him something that makes the most sense financially for him, I don't think he's going to look past that. And I don't know what the percentage is that they even get to that point. And also you have to factor in like, this is the thing. Players will take less money somewhere else where they don't feel like they got disrespected versus taking the same money somewhere where they do feel like they got disrespected. I don't know if Lamar feels disrespected. I would imagine it would be hard not to at this point, just looking at this from my perspective, but I'm not Lamar Jackson, right? I don't feel what he feels. I don't know what he's feeling, but yeah, I think he's not playing on $32 million a year. Like that we can all kind of agree, like that the idea that like, oh, he gets nothing and it just decides, I guess I'm just going to play on this transition tag. And it just rolls out a whole nother year of doing this again. I don't think that's happening. Either he gets a deal that is something that can help, bridge the relationship for Lamar Jackson from Baltimore, which I don't think is a 0% chance. I don't think it's likely, but I don't think it's a 0% chance. Or some team, and look, it would make sense if the Colts do it because, like, Jim Irsay, he's the kind of guy that would be like, you know what? I'm not holding the line, dog.
It just takes one good night for Jim Irsay to say yes to that deal, right? It's like,
just get Lamar out there to throw the football a couple times and be like, hey, remember when you had Jack Cohn out here? Like, yeah, he'll do it. Like, I don't think it's gonna be hard to convince a team to put money into Lamar Jackson the longer this goes and the more he's out there and the more teams are looking at who they got in the draft and like, oh, well, I thought I was gonna get Anthony Richardson and I didn't get him, and now I'm just looking at whoever I got in the draft, right? The longer this goes on, the more likely it is that Lamar does not come back to Baltimore. But I would still reserve I would say like somewhere between like 0.05% to 1% that he does come back. Like, I don't think it's not a 0 chance, but I don't think it's very likely that it happens because a lot of things that people have set into very long, both on the Ravens side and on Lamar's side, would have to be undone to get to a deal at this point.
Yeah. That's the problem. It's getting nasty. It's getting nasty because even if Lamar goes back with no suitors, how do you even put him out there? How does he even reconnect with the fans, ownership? It's a weird situation, man. I don't know. It's very weird right now.
And then you get like every day too, like, and this is where y'all don't be helping yourselves because like every day he's opening up his social medias and hearing y'all be like calling him entitled and selfish, and y'all got the little Ravens logo in your little profile picture, and now he's associating that with that. Like,
I don't care. Fans are probably saying more to him, like, come back, Ravens play.
There are some fans that are definitely doing that, but I know from being a media personality online, those ain't the ones that you see. You don't ever see those comments. You see the ones that hate you. Like, you see all of those. The ones that call you selfish and entitled because they have the most engagement underneath them. Like, those are the ones your phone gonna ping you on, and that's what he keeps seeing. And that can't be healthy for his relationship with that team either. So it's just like, look, you as a fan can't stop everybody from doing it. This is just kind of a thing out there. But I think there's a lot of things going in the way of just these two ain't gonna be able to make up. Now, do you think, Tony, I gotta ask you a question. What do you think is a more likely possibility? That Lamar Jackson plays for the Baltimore Ravens, or Lamar Jackson does not play for anybody this year?
I don't think he can sit out, because remember, in order to sit out, the thing that helped Le'Veon is he got transition tag before they changed it. But he got like the OG transition tag, then the franchise tag, and that was 2 tags back to back, which allowed him to sit out the year and then go back the next year and go into free agency. Lamar, this is his first time ever being tagged. He would have to be tagged back to back years so I don't think he can sit out for the year. So I think there's more likely he plays for the Ravens. Although now that I'm saying it's like, man, it does feel like this is getting so nasty between the two. Like, would he just? I don't know. I guess I was gonna say, would he spitefully sit out? But I mean, he's costing himself so much money.
Exactly.
It doesn't do himself any good.
I think, and I'm not gonna say this is a higher chance, but I think there is a possibility here, and I'll be the first to say it, that Lamar could retire more than he comes back and plays on that tag.
With what? Lamar hasn't been like recording money right now, right? He has no big endorsements. Like, if I would understand if he came from a big endorsement or something and said, like, you know what, I have enough money, whatever.
You're assuming that's how he's thinking about it, though. He might just be thinking about this as, I'll figure it out.
But
like,
the whole
it's not what I want.
He's trying to make out more money, and he's just gonna leave all this millions on the table. Like, for me,
if he was thinking conventionally, though, Sonny, like at some point we have to let go that like Lamar is thinking conventionally about this, because if he was, he wouldn't be in this spot. He would have an agent, and he would have that original deal that the Baltimore Ravens have offered him. He might just be thinking like, okay, well, if I can't do this at what I feel like is worthwhile for me, I'll do something else. That might be what he thinks. Like, we don't know. And I don't think that's a non-zero possibility. I'm not saying like Lamar Jackson's going to retire or anything like that. I don't even think it's a high chance of doing it. But if you ask me, like, what's a higher chance, him playing on that tag or him retiring? I feel like that's an underrated possibility, that he could just be like, you know what, I'm walking away. Because if there's one player who could walk away, Lamar Jackson has demonstrated that he's willing to go against the status quo enough that he would do something like that. It would not be that much of a surprise for me.
Or would he sit out the full 2 years? Which is essentially,
I think he would make it obvious that he is either not playing football again or not playing for the Ravens. But like, if you wanted to play football, he gonna be in a different uniform. Like, I think that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ace.
I said I don't know if he would. It's hard to say he would sit out, but he could. Anything's a possibility. I think, to try to force his way out. I just don't think that he's like Deshaun Watson in the sense where he's like, I'm willing to sit out 2 years to get kicked off.
Well, he sat out the 1 year because he wanted to. The other year,
Watson's second year wasn't exactly.
It wasn't his fault. But, I don't think he's willing to do that, to pull the Le'Veon Bell and sit out a year.
Right.
I think he just loves football too much to.
I agree with Ace. Yeah. The other thing I was gonna add here.
By the way, if I hit on that one, dog, like, I'm just going, y'all would never hear the end of it.
If you hit on Lamar literally retires from football, yeah, I mean, I would say we should, you'll get proud for that, no doubt.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, I got a good read on it.
I don't know. What I was gonna say is, the thing right now is, if a team does not come to Lamar, do you guys saying like he might feel disrespected by the Ravens, right? I think that's the line there.
Yeah, that's my thought.
But if a team does not come with the guarantee / money that he wants, they will have to justify why are they not doing that to him, right? And how do you justify that? Usually you tell the agent, right, or whoever, well, these that player got this, but that player does this. Lamar, in this case, he might have been hurt for 10 games or 12 games the last 2 seasons, right? So you put all this little caveats why you're not getting paid. If a team goes to him trying to offer him something that is not what he wants, they will have to bring those things, which will go back to he probably will feel disrespected by that team, right? And then you go through the same cycle. And I think that's also a reason why some teams might be right now like, do I really want to go through this? Because the thing is, if the Colts, for example, right, say, okay, we're going to try to work out a deal with Lamar, and it gets leaked that the Colts are doing. Now the fan base goes like, oh, Lamar's coming here. So that puts pressure in that franchise. And if they go through the same thing that Baltimore went, right, and then they do not get Lamar, and they ended up with whoever, Levis, and they sucked, and the fan base are gonna be like, see, you blew it, blah, blah, blah. It's almost better for a team to be like, do I really want to touch this situation? Right. And I mean, it sucks for Lamar, but I think that's essentially where they are right now.
And I think we shouldn't, like, he does love football. And there are things in my life that I used to love doing and was very passionate about. And then the business of it made it that I didn't want to do it ever again. I don't think that's unique to anything else. And I don't think that's unique to football. This could be such an ugly experience that he's just like, you know what, man, I'm out. Like, I don't think, because this is a unique, like, no quarterback who has been as good as he has, as early as he has in his career, has dealt with this. And this could be something to where it just kills his enthusiasm for the game because of the business of it. That's not something that's rare that happens. This happens all the time in sports, all the time in different fields. Like, the business of it can kill your love to do this, because all of a sudden now you don't even feel like you're about to get rewarded for what you're about to do. And that's all I'm saying is I would not underestimate that element of this whole thing being something that has been such a turnoff that he might be okay if he doesn't get what he wants, not playing football again. Like, that might be something to consider.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think, right. I agree with Lamar that the contract that he has is probably similar to what the agent will get him, right? On the flip side, a lot of the probably negativity he has heard, that would have been something that the agent would have shielded him from, and he might not have the bad experience that you're saying.
That's the unique part of this negotiation. Yeah. A lot of the criticism is like about Lamar Jackson himself. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, like, this could burn him out. Like, you know, like I this is a little bit of a unique situation where I would not underestimate that part of it.
Well, yeah, and
the mental toll that it's probably taken.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but on the flip side, I think any team that goes to Lamar and don't offer exactly what he wants, he will hear the same probably things that the Ravens are saying to him, and he will keep feeling disrespected. So anyway, well, let's go.
I'm saying that's going to add up.
Yeah.
Has anyone even talked to him though? I don't think
that's the thing. Nobody's really officially talked to him.
Not officially. Yeah.
So, okay, Zachary.
Just something considered.
Zachary here says, Quincy, thoughts on the Browns targeting Miles Jack?
Look, it is what it is. If they're interested in Miles Jack, they'll get Miles Jack. If not, they'll not. I think that linebackers have been pretty good for the Browns, so I think they'll probably just keep with AWalk. But I mean, they're going to be interested in anybody that young with that much pedigree. They're going to throw a flyer out there, but I don't think like they're going to sign Miles Jack and be like, you're starting, because they also have starting players.
I'd just like to point out that Quincy obviously loves cats and does not like dogs at all. I've never seen a dog in his background ever before. Only cats.
The Browns are officially not associated with dogs. I don't know where this comes from.
Where did the dog come from? Where did the dog?
The dog pound. You know, because Hanford Dixon said that them some dogs right there in the bleachers, because that used to be the cheap seats, and they used to throw batteries on the field and bark at people. And then they just called him the dog pound, and that's kind of been a thing. But I wanted to let you guys know it's not an official logo of the Cleveland Browns. You do not have to be a dog person. And by the way, abolish the elf. I never want to see the elf again. Abolish the elf. We gave up a 13-point lead in 1 minute and 30 seconds with the goddamn elf on the field. We're not playing with the elf no more. That should have been the end of the elf. This should have been the end of the elf.
I will say about Miles Jack, he still got it when he's healthy. That last part.
Miles Garrett. Well, you put Miles Jack there with JOK.
Yeah.
Either we gonna make incredible plays or have really busted coverages versus tight ends. It's gonna be something.
Ella Taylor here says, am I the only one who thinks Lamar is worth the money while also not being worth the money? Great players, not the best pure passer. Maybe team don't value the over other QBs. I think he's great. I think a lot of teams probably are in that basket. That Lamar brings a lot of unique sets, and they might think, well, we had to redo our offense, and if it doesn't work out,
do that though.
Here's the question, though. Here's the question I have to that.
Dude ran a pro-style offense with Bobby Petrino in college. Why are people saying that you have to change your offense for Lamar Jackson?
Well, Ace, here's even the response I would even have to that. what quarterback do you bring in that you're not changing the offense
That's
around
fair.
him for?
That is
Like
fair.
you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you're running what Aaron Rodgers wants to run. The Browns are doing this with Deshaun Watson right now. They're running the Deshaun Watson offense. The Steelers did this with Big Ben for years. It was like, oh yeah, Matt Canada's going to come in. No, you're running what Ben wants to run, right? Like that's just what it is. When you have a quarterback of that caliber that you feel like is a franchise guy, the offense is whatever that guy does well. Like that's what the offense needs to be. You're not trying to fit square pegs into round holes when you're spending that much money at quarterback. So I don't get that whole argument that like you got to do too much to adjust around them. It's like that's the benefit of having a good quarterback is that you can build your offense around their strengths and weaknesses. So you can spend money smarter in some spaces. But hey, that's just been around forever though. That whole thinking where it's like you gotta build around this quarterback and that, and it's like you build around every quarterback.
True. That's
Steve
right.
Young wasn't running the same exact offense as Joe Montana. They ran different sets.
Okay, Noah Stone here says Chiefs 49ers have tons of cap. Raven has 0. The Chiefs ain't signing Lamar. And
get a 1-2 punch at quarterback.
Yeah.
Didn't they do something where Mahomes restructured his deal for them to get like 10 million?
He's got a 10-year deals. He's going to restructure forever. Yeah.
That deal is really like 4 3-year deals. Like that's what that contract will eventually end up being.
The other thing that I will say, because people had told me like, Sonny, but what happens Lamar if somebody has him a deal? The Ravens had 0 cap. Well, the Ravens have not 0. I think they had like $8 or $9 million in the cap space. But it's because they're that 30, whatever it was, whatever the transition tag is counting against the cap right now. Even though if he hasn't signed it, it counts against the cap. So if somebody offers him something that he's gonna make 40 mil on day one or first year, right? Well, they just need to figure out that 7 extra mil, right? Or 35. I've been saying, like, if a team really wants him and doesn't want the Ravens to match it, is front-loading the contract, right? That's a way that the Ravens can only do so much.
Yeah, whatever happened to poison pills? Remember poison pill contracts?
You can't technically poison pill. That's been taken out in one of the CBAs. So you can't say like, hey, you get charged an extra $40 million if you play X amount of games in Baltimore. That used to be a thing that teams could do.
Before. Yeah, that happened to a guy
used to be a thing that teams could do. You cannot do that anymore. But like it's still been done kind of where you can look at Baltimore's situation and be like, hey man, we're gonna pay you 200. We're gonna pay you 150 of this guarantee right here, right now. Like, it's gonna be a decided bonus, and the Baltimore's gonna be like, well, you got it. Like, the ideal that like a team is negotiating for the Baltimore Ravens, I felt like was one of the more ridiculous tales that was out there because they're not negotiating for the Baltimore Ravens. They're negotiating against the interest of the Baltimore Ravens when they are negotiating that contract with Lamar Jackson, both Lamar and the team. So the Ravens would be signing a contract in which they would have no say in what the terms are, and the terms will probably be something that is kind of slanted against them and not team friendly in their specific situation. And that's why most guys on transition tags don't get claimed or matched.
Mm-hmm. The one thing, because a team that when I was thinking about teams, right, I brought last week, what team is left, right? Commanders is one that is very interesting. The only thing I can think of why the Commanders are not even attempting, because that would take fans away from Baltimore too, right? We're next to each other. If there's people that are just Lamar fans, they might just hop and say, you know what, I'm going to be a Commander fan. But the thing that I was thinking was, if they give him 200 mil, the rumor is Snyder wants to sell the team, right? Hey, Lamar's there in that team or not, that team is being sold for however many billions is Lamar there or not, right? The question is, does he want to put a check of his money for 200 mil that he might not recoup that back?
Well, they did this with the Ron Payne's guarantees, where they deferred it till 2024. So whoever buys the team next has to do it somehow. Like you can play games with you can make it wait until just get the signing bonus in.
I thought that you have to put it in escrow day one.
There are some ways you can get around it. Again, the NFL salary cap is just a thing of mess. But like if you're planning, it really is only helpful if you plan not to own the team in a year. That if you're actively trying to sell the team, I think you can do it where you can defer it so the next guy pays it. Gotcha. Instead of you, and the money technically goes into some kind of insured escrow, like it's some kind of weird thing.
Gotcha. T-Bert, Here says Browns fans, we gotta enjoy the various pain right now. Yeah.
I can't wait to
Ray
enjoy the Steelers pay in about, what? 7 months? Yeah, about 8 months. 8 months. We'll start. They'll start. They will start to realize what they are in. You know what I mean, Ace? They'll start to realize what world they living in.
We're living in winning record in his rookie season. So
oh yeah, look, I'm gonna let you enjoy this 7-8 months of joy. You know what I mean?
I'm enjoying.
This is like the last days of Rome. You know what I mean? It's like the last days of Rome. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's still riding.
I mean, this is my favorite part of the offseason. This is my favorite part. This is it. We're in Steelers are bad time. I love it. I love it.
No, I'm not saying they're gonna be bad. I'm not even saying the team's gonna have a bad record by then. But there's a reality that you're going to be like,
by October. But
this is what we're living in. That you go realize.
50-50 proposition on that one. Yeah.
Ray Rack here says, I meant if he signs the tag, I don't think at this time he is signing long term. There is a chance that it's a Le'Veon situation. He doesn't play this year.
I think there's a better chance he just outright retires and tries to do the Le'Veon.
If he does Le'Veon this year, the Ravens next year can say, we're gonna tag you again.
And if they want to play that game, then this is like you might as well retire, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
or what Tony said, in 2 years come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make it very
obvious. So the tag is like exponential, right? The tag is like
Tony
115% of what it was the year before when you tag him in twice or whatever, 125 or whatever.
But the problem is, if we would have done exclusive tag, if he would have been 40-something, and then next year he would have been 50-something. I think next year is 40-something because we did this transition.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It's double.
Now he doesn't owe any money if he sits out. That's the big difference between him and that's one of the big differences between him and the original Watson situation. Was Watson was on a new deal and would have had to pay back money. If he just does not sign that tag, he's not old. He doesn't owe any money that he has to pay back, which is an important thing to consider.
Yep. Ravens need to move from LJ. Y'all know that. As we know, so Silent Wolf says, okay, Q, love you, man, but you gotta switch the name banner to match the other. You're murdering my OCD. What is your name banner?
Oh, he's got his. I see. Yeah.
Oh, Flip.
This is online. I'm going to win this battle until everybody switches out. I'm holding out.
Steve Webb here says Kaepernick made a lot of money after football. Just saying. Okay.
And Lamar got those enterprises. You know what I mean? He got these businesses. He got a restaurant. He opened it up. He might just find himself as an entrepreneur.
He might. Also, Tony, I haven't been here in a while, so all these super chats are to help you on your gambling.
I don't know why you put gambling in quotes right there. First of all, didn't need to put that in quotes. It's real. Also, speaking of gambling, I have been looking at this offseason because everyone knows, Tony did have a 10-1 ticket, Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Bet it the day before the season started.
Did you end up?
I did not hedge. Nope. Zero hedge. Never hedge. Not a hedge guy. Thank you.
Well, you did hedge.
Don't hedge.
You hedged in the AFC Championship game.
Do not hedge. No, I didn't hedge. I never hedged.
You never changed it.
I never hedged. No, go back and watch tape. I didn't hedge. Promise.
I remember you
was thinking about hedging.
I was thinking about hedging. We talked about it on the show.
Oh, then I talked you out of the hedge. You were close, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We were close. No, I was close to hedging. I was close to hedging the Super Bowl.
You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something. Halftime of the Super Bowl, thought about getting out then too. Didn't get out even during halftime of the Super Bowl. Okay, I'm staring down. Mahomes is hurt. They're down by like 2 scores. I can't believe I did this to myself. Still didn't hedge.
Nah, but then in the back of your head, you heard me go, It's Pat Mahomes.
It's Pat Mahomes. So looking at the tickets this year, looking for another double-digit to 1 to win the Super Bowl. I got to tell you who I'm coming. I know people are going to be shocked by this. This is what I'm thinking about going. Well, we'll see. We got to see what the draft is. And 15-1 odds right now. 15-1 odds to win the Super Bowl for the Cincinnati Bengals. I like those odds. That is too high for what is probably the second best team in the AFC.
Fair enough. Okay, Ace, my idea on Bengals draft approach. Seems like they're trying to shore up big weakness with DBs and O-line and free agency, tight end, running back, defensive line, and secondary.
I think the draft approach for the Bengals, I think you definitely need to look at the secondary. Tight end is definitely something. They've met with nearly every tight end that you can think of, with the exception of Musgrave. Offensive line, they haven't had much out there. Obviously, they went and got Orlando Brown. They went and signed Cody Ford. So I think offensive line is probably a dark horse. Running back is definitely on the table. I always felt like there were a lot of people talking about, oh, are we going to get Jamal Williams and all of that? Running back's definitely on the table. This is a draft where running back.
You going with the Texas kid?
I don't think he'll be there. I don't think he'll be there.
Oh,
maybe the other Texas kid, maybe Roshan as his backup. Defensive line, I think they are looking at defensive tackle probably. So I think it'll be wide open in round 1. But you'll see here they just met with Foster Monroe, which my man Zim told me about yesterday. He also told me about the Jonah trade request yesterday. So we'll see where they go with that. With Jonah getting traded, offensive line might be on the board.
By the way, shout out to the Bengals. I appreciate what they did there because Orlando Brown is a really good tackle. But he got them slow ass feet. Miles about to get past him. You know what I mean?
Hey, Miles was already getting past Jonah. Plenty.
You know what I mean? You had to do something. I feel like that Miles like slip boot, the Euro step that he hit on Jonah and when Joe Mixon was the moment the Bengals were like, okay, man, this can't last much longer.
Feeling dangerous.
They did it to him the year before. That's why they got Leal.
Hugh, I saw your video that included talking about AJ Green being in the slot. Why didn't they try it last year? Is that just Joe Woods being Joe Woods?
No, there's this ideal there that, hey, we should put elite corners in the slot, and this is an analytics-driven thing. And I think this is one of those things that some of the raw numbers kind of get wrong about football is like the slot. Like you look at the best slot corners in the NFL, they're usually dudes who got drafted in the 5th round and later. And that's because that position hurts. Like that position is not one you would play if you could do anything else as a DB. There's a reason why, like what Mike Hilton, what's the knock on him? He can't cover that well, but he can hit. That is basically a tiny linebacker, right? And you need to, those guys are guys who are trying to make the team, and that's where you'll get a nickel corner. I think AJ Green fits that better than Greg Newsome. I think that was a part of a trend that numbers were pushing that Joe Woods might have felt like he should do because they did it with Jalen Ramsey, even though the value of Jalen Ramsey dipped dramatically the second they put him in the slot. To the point to where they got like a 3rd round pick for a dude they got like a first and something they traded for a first and something not too long ago. So I think the slot corner position is one of them positions where it's like somebody needs to get that position because that's the position that they need to play in the NFL. I don't think you just get somebody who could be good at corner and throw them in there because there's a physical element in there that numbers cannot predict. And that's pretty much all the position is run support, blitzing, occasionally cover, and then when you do, it's a big ass tight end. Like,
and it's so well, and it's so dependent because you're in the middle of the field, right? So it's dependent, especially if you're playing zone, right? It's dependent on the linebacker and the safety and where who goes where. So it's a super dependent position too.
Yeah, you're not going to raise the ceiling of what's possible by having a really good corner in the slot. Like a really good corner in the slot is just going to play like a normal slot corner. Like you're not going to really notice that much of a difference. It's what we have seen in the last 2 experiments that we have done this with. And I think that's just kind of, you just got to put somebody in who like to hit.
Marlon Humphrey hates it. He hates
playing in the slot. It's hard, man. It's the hardest thing.
Yeah, but he does it when basically he has done it when he used to do when we had like 3 outside corners and Jamie Smith couldn't play inside. Marcus Peter can play inside. So he will like go inside for a while and just take whoever, right?
It's the defensive version of having your best wide receiver return kicks. Like there are just a physical element to that that's like, hey, this is not beneficial after a while. Like, yeah, can Tyreek Hill still return kicks in emergencies? But you wouldn't put him out there because he can get hurt doing that because it's a very physical job and he's too valuable to risk doing that. The same thing with like corners when you put them in the slot. It's like having a great wide receiver return kicks. Yeah, it makes sense on paper, but not in practice.
The Houday Burner says Bengals 3 times consecutive AFC North champs.
If that does happen, first time it's happened in the division. If it does
happen. Noah Stone here says 49ers got Hargraves. Purdy ready soon, number 1 team.
Is Brock Purdy? No, I'm not going to start.
Tedford says,
Who's the starter there?
Brock
No.
Purdy
Who's
might
the
be the
starter?
worst bet he's made.
Sam
Like he
Darnold,
could have went
right?
Joe Burrow.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold is in line to get his career resurrected by Kyle Shanahan. Congratulations to
Good luck
to
with
him,
that.
to Sam Darnold. All of us who were high on Sam Darnold in that draft, we're about to be. Sonny, you're about to be right. This year you'll be right. Don't worry. You can take your victory lap.
I was
when
high
Kyle
on
puts him in week 10 and he goes on a run second half of the year.
Baker Mayfield must be like, yo, does Kyle just not like me? Why don't I get selected for these opportunities?
going to the second years. To be fair, that's a weak division, so who knows?
Oh boy, is it still Todd Bowles? Is he still the coach there?
Oh yeah, he didn't get fired.
Ooh, is Byron Leftwich still there?
The OC change.
No, he got fired.
Leftwich
got
fired. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know where Leftwich went.
That's what I'm saying. The OC change.
Who's the OC there?
I have no idea.
I don't know who they got.
So you got new OC, and Todd Bowles is the head coach, and Baker Mayfield might be your quarterback. What's the under on Tampa Bay right now?
Seaver here says, I just hope the Steelers are painfully mediocre, 8-1. Got that tie for you. FU to 17.
No. Painfully mediocre would be like 7-8-1. You know what I mean? Like that 7-6 win range. Oh, it sucks when you do that.
Oh no, this is a Browns fan. Tibbert is a Browns fan.
Like I said, this is it. As soon as this game stopped being played, we all start imagining a world where the Steelers are bad. I love it. Here we are.
Ty Kendall says, Ace, would you prefer we draft Washington or Mayer?
Michael Mayer. I would say Washington, I think, has the higher ceiling, but he's extremely limited, especially when it comes to the passing game. He's a great blocker. I would say Mayer, but I'm a Dalton Kincaid guy, but I wouldn't mind Michael Mayer at all. I'd probably prefer Michael Mayer over Darnell Washington.
When I saw a little bit of Mayer's tape, as I've been looking in different tape, he reminded me of when I saw Farmuth.
Heath Miller.
I knew you were gonna say Muth. Because
he reminds me of Heath Miller, man.
Well, but because I did Moose not that long ago.
What do you think, Tony? Is that spot on with the Heath?
No, I mean, like when Sonny was talking about Mayer, I knew he was going to say Fireman because they all. I mean, that is like
they're similar how they play.
Yeah. I will say this, Ace. I'm glad you said that Darnell Washington does not you wouldn't be that excited about Darnell Washington, or at least he doesn't fit as much as a guy like Mayer. Because I had this argument on another podcast I was on. Where the guy was saying, I really don't want Darnell Washington to go to the Bengals. And I'm like, I kind of do, because that doesn't really fit. Like, he's a run blocker right now. Maybe he turns into a pass catcher over time. But like, if you're the Bengals, you're trying to win in the next 2 or 3 years. Washington's going to take a little bit of time to get going, even as a red zone threat, right? Like, okay, he'd be good in the red zone to start, but like you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like, I don't think you're really hurting for red zone right now.
Don't forget about Boyd.
So
yeah, it's just like if you.
I mean, are we going to do the Tyler Boyd thing still? Like, are we still?
If
doing
you're
the
the team that doesn't take Darnell Washington as the first tight end off the board, or like doesn't take him when he's available, and then that pans out, then it's gonna be like, damn, because people gonna look back and be like, how did we not see that covered? But then you look at his tape at Georgia, and you're like, how did anybody see this coming? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just literally every time I watch Georgia, I'm like, how does that dude not get the ball more? And you're like, oh, he's actually the second best tight end at Georgia. Like, it's just, it's just.
You see him out there.
And then he makes like the goal to make a one-handed catch at the combine, and this is like, oh, now these guys in the bind. I don't know what you do. Darnell Washington is one of the things. Like, if you're a GM, you hope he's drafted before you get up there because you just don't need that temptation. Like,
now, like
Darnell Washington, they'll line him out there and like trips, and you're like, oh, he's about to get the ball, and then they snap the ball, and he's blocking for the guy on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for the Steelers to take Darnell Washington. Don't get me wrong. I would love for the Steelers to take him. I just thought for the Bengals and what they're looking for, how they're constructing their team, I just felt like it's not really a match right now.
Like, if somebody could be George Kittle out this draft, a guy who was a blocking guy mainly coming out of Iowa, and then like blossom into one of the better receiving tight ends, like kind of almost immediately. Oh yeah, he could be that, but that's a wild bet to make. Yeah. But he could. I mean, if there's a bet, that's the bet. Like, you know what I mean?
Silent Wolf here says also Q the UC we signed a tight end for a 2-year deal.
Video just went up 20 minutes ago. Yes, sir.
on it.
Also,
On it.
big shout out to Adam Holland, Doug Zulu, Luis Cousins, Leo Sell, and Ray Rat for being top tier Patreon. If you want to support us a little bit more, check out our Patreon link in the description below. It's a way for us, to do what we do here, for you to support us. Also for our patrons, if you want to have our opinions of a specific draft prospects, send us a DM through the Patreon. We'll check them out. We'll write back to you what we think about that specific prospect. So thank you again for being a Patreon supporter, to every patron we have, and then also for the guys here on the ticker. Okay, free agency happened. Let's start with the Ravens.
It's happening. It's not over yet.
It's happening. Sorry.
Okay.
Ravens did something?
Yes, the Ravens did.
Who the Ravens signed? Like, for real?
Ravens signed Justice Hill, Trayvon Mullen. Yes, that's Trayvon Mullen, and then Geno Stone. That's it. Okay, we can move on.
Wait, no, didn't they get an outside guy? They did sign one outside guy.
Snapper. No.
No?
A long snapper?
Yes.
I know they cut Calais Campbell, but they're bringing him back. That's 100% happening. They're going to bring him back in like July. Yeah.
I don't know. I think, if Lamar's back, I think Calais comes back. If Lamar's not back, because if you're Calais, you come not play for a Super Bowl?
Oh, you're saying like Calais agrees that Lamar should get fully guaranteed, so that then they're cutting all ties.
I just think if Lamar plays, then he plays with us.
Yeah,
I think he might pull an Ndamukong Suh where he gets signed in the middle of the year or something like that by somebody.
I don't think Calais Campbell's retiring. He was still good.
No. I just think if not, he goes somewhere.
Of course he's gonna be good. He doesn't even have to do. He's strong and he's 6'7". Like he just. That's all he got to do. Like he ain't even got to be bursting no more. Get up.
Long arms. Arms, tall, and strong.
Honestly, the older he gets, the stronger, because now he got that dad strength.
The old man strength.
He got that yoke him up, young fella.
He's going into he's got a second wind as a player. Yeah.
He could be 50 out there.
But the Ravens didn't do much. By the way, I'm in the NFL Network tracker, so if I miss somebody, please let us know. Okay, so let me go with the Bengals. Ace, you can correct me if I miss anybody. Orlando Brown, big ticket item. You got him. You resign Jermaine Pratt, and then you just sign Cody Ford as a backup guard, I'm assuming. To win.
That Mount Cody?
Cody from Oklahoma.
Cody Ford.
Mount Cody.
I remember liking him coming out of college.
We don't give enough big guys the Mountain nickname no more. We need to bring that back.
The Ravens had the Mountain. Cleveland.
They had the original Mount Cody, right?
No,
there's been multiple Mount Codys. There was one from Alabama that played D tackle.
Yeah, the Ravens. That was the guy that the police went to his apartment in Baltimore and they found a gator.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah. Was he from Florida? Let's search it.
You don't need to besmirch the good name of people from Florida, all right?
Terrence Cody. Where was Terrence Cody
from? Fort Myers.
Fort Myers, Florida. The only people in the world that would have a gator in their house. It's either that or Louisiana. There's no other place that you're gonna have that, man. Like maybe somewhere in Georgia, but that's Southeast only. Like only in the SEC, baby.
There's no way to go around. I think because I know what it was. It was
shout out Cat Williams.
His dog got hurt, and he took the dog to the vet, and he told the vet that his gator injured the dog. It was something like that. And then the vet then called animal control, go to his house, and then they found the gator.
A key part of that story. The vet
animal cruelty charge?
Yes. You cannot own an alligator with other small pets unless you have that's not super illegal. But the funny thing is, I bet the vet took that comment more serious. He was like, let me get your ID. Florida. Okay. Was that why he was in Baltimore? Was he living in Baltimore doing this?
Yeah, in Baltimore. In Baltimore.
I mean,
he might have not even got the police called on him if he was doing that in Florida. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, you just gotta get a cage for the gator."
Yeah, but for the Bengals, obviously it started off slow because you talk about Jesse Bates, Von Bell, those guys being gone.
Yeah,
Jesse Bates was expected. I don't think Von Bell was expected by Bengals fans. I tried to prep them for that because I was like, hey, it's free agency. You put somebody out there and you're trying to get guys and you get caught up in wasting time and stuff. Some guys are going to end up leaving. So for me, Von Bell was like the biggest departure, I think, that really hit the gut check for the Bengals. But before that happened, Jermaine Pratt, you probably could have asked me before free agency what percentage of a chance I thought Jermaine Pratt was going to be there and Von Bell. I would have probably said there's a 3% chance that Von Bell that Jermaine Pratt is back, and there's probably a 50% chance that Von Bell is back. That was crazy. Him staying, especially after all the cryptic tweets that Bengals Twitter wanted to decipher. What does this mean? Oh, he's gone. This is gone. For Jermaine Pratt to come back on that type of a deal, that was insane. Like for him to sign 3 years, $21 million.
Yeah.
I did not see that happening whatsoever, especially with him complaining about not playing third downs, wanting to play third downs more. I thought that he'd just go somewhere else that would let him play on third down. So that was a huge surprise. Then you get into day 2, and Bengals fans are panicking. Like everybody's panicking because Von Bell is gone. Hayden Hurst ends up signing, which, I like Hayden Hurst, but it's Hayden Hurst. It's not like you lost this mythical guy at the tight end position. So we lose Hayden Hurst.
He was the fourth Migo.
Everybody's panicking. And then at 10:30 at night, the Orlando Brown news comes through. And I didn't even see it at first. I'm out with my wife who went to Taco Bell. I get back, at first when I saw it on Twitter, I thought it was ball sack sport. I thought it was fake. I thought the tweet was fake. I had to go in and double check because I'm like, nah, they didn't get Orlando Brown. The Bengals get Orlando Brown. I love the move. You guys know I'm not a big Jonah Williams fan. Never have been. Not going to sugarcoat it. Jonah Williams just is mid. He's mid. So with them getting a guy like Orlando Brown, a top guy on the market, for them to give him $31 million as a signing bonus, that pretty much puts away any narrative that the Bengals are cheap or don't want to pay money, especially with them having to pay Burrow. I thought that could keep them from putting out money like this. But pretty much they literally gave the money that Jesse Bates wanted to Orlando Brown. And I had no problem with them doing that whatsoever. You got to shore up that offensive line. There is some unknowns with Jonah because this would have been his last year. They probably wouldn't have given him the 5th-year option if they could see the future of him giving up 12 sacks the next season. So now they're in a situation where they intended to move Jonah to the right, but clearly Jonah wants to get traded. I don't think that they'll have a problem with that. They add in a guy like Cody Ford for depth. I think he's good depth. He's not a starter, not whatsoever. I wouldn't want to put that guy as a starter, but this is a guy that when he came out was deemed as a first-round, the second-round talent, has some ability there. Can they get it out of him as a backup? He's just a guy that has actually played in the NFL before versus a guy like a Hakeem Adeniji that you had, a Deontay Smith who can't touch the field. That's a prospect. So they had to get guys behind the line that actually has some starter depth. So I'm not mad at that. They are looking at a guy like Foster Moreau who just, I think, visited yesterday. So we'll see what they do at the tight end position. And then they lost Samaje Perine, which, guys, the Samaje Perine, this guy got cut twice on one team. He was with the Dolphins. He was with the Washington football team. I think he's a good guy. I think he can do his thing. But I think that would have just been too much, especially with Joe Mixon. You're already looking at a restructure with him because you cannot pay him $12 million this season. So that would have just been too much for him. So I like the approach that the Bengals are taking. I heard absolutely nothing about this Orlando Brown deal whatsoever. My one source that could have told me got tied up doing something. But Orlando is major. I'm not saying that he's going to be this elite guy, but I think you got a top 10 tackle. The biggest shock of that deal is that this guy is the 17th paid tackle in the league based off of this deal that the Bengals gave him. 17th for this guy. For him to take that kind of deal, which is way less than what the Chiefs were giving him, to grab him from the Chiefs, that is just a major move. And for them to be paying Jawan Taylor $3 million more a year for that guy as a replacement with a Jawan Taylor that hasn't even played on the left side yet, it's crazy. So I got to give a shout out to Dukes Hoban and them We'll see what they do. I don't expect any other big moves. I did hear some things about Chauncey Gardner. I don't know what is going on with his market. I don't know what people know about him that is not public knowledge, but I do expect them to probably go after a safety. I know they were looking at Taylor Rapp and another guy from the Rams as well. I think you're going to downgrade at safety, guys. Like, you got Dax Hill. You can see what Dax Hill is. You got Tyson Anderson waiting in the wings, 5th round pick. That probably is a little bit more that athletic than a Von Bell, but you're probably going to get a vet there to go in combination with those guys. There's probably going to be some bumps along the way, but so far I like what the Bengals are doing, especially with Orlando Brown.
Can I?
Right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the Orlando Brown signing also came as a shock to me that the Bengals were going to go out and do that. Q and I had talked about it last week. You know, we did the whole, like, who do you want? Who would you want your team to sign? And then we flipped it to who do you not want other teams to sign? And Q and I mentioned, like, hey, listen, getting an Orlando Brown type of thing would be good because that might tie up some future money on this team that would prevent them from re-signing the big three here. I think the crazy thing about the Orlando Brown thing, Sonny and I were talking about it a little bit before the show started. I think the craziest thing, like you mentioned, Ace, is the money that he got. You know, there was clearly not a huge market for him because he got the kind of money that you would probably expect an Orlando Brown should get, right? Meaning, I think we've all talked about Orlando Brown in the past. He's not like a top 5 tackle. He thinks he's a top 5 tackle. Like, he thinks he's like, you know, God's gift to left tackle, but he's really probably more of a like top 10-ish tackle in the league. And he certainly has flaws.
The class above Jonah Williams and like Jed Wills. Like, you know, he's going to be.
I don't know if Jonah's top 20. I don't know if Jonah's top 20.
Oh,
We're going to talk about Jonah in a second. Because
look, Jonah's unfortunate because some of the worst matchups for him and his play style in the world just play in this division. But like, I think if he goes like the AFC South, they're going to think he's decent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Orlando Brown is a for sure an upgrade over Jonah, and they didn't pay enough. They front loaded some of that contract. I think he maxes out on a cap hit basis at like $16 million. You know, that's well within range of, like, they can sign T now. I mean, I don't think this is a problem. It's just a matter of how much you're gonna, like, how much does Burrow want, how much does Chase want, and then can you work T into there? But I don't think this like precludes them from making those deals. So I thought that deal number one was really good. I do think though this whole like they have to trade Jonah on the right, you know, thing. Look, it does. This is one of those, like, you upgraded at one position, but you did make a problem for yourself at another because you wanted to move Jonah to the right, and Jonah said no. So now they do have to get a right tackle. I mean, I don't think this solves all their problems. It certainly upgrades them on that side, and it gives far more stability because Jonah was obviously a problem last year for them. But they still have to solve that right tackle spot. And so I think that
the one thing about right tackle that I will say is they still have Lyle, but Lyle is hurt. So they're going to have to get by with whoever they have there at the right tackle until Lyle is able to get back.
How long
is that? Whoa. Is that an option? Like, they're going to wait and see if Lyle can play after he gets hurt back from injury?
Yeah. They're going to wait and put. So Lyle ended up tearing his knee.
Oh,
what was that? Like week 16.
Yeah,
week
it
15,
was very yeah.
Something late in the year. So he's not going to be there at the beginning of the year, but they're going to have to probably put in like either a Jackson Carman, Cody Ford, enter for draft pick, whatever at right tackle until he
Carman can play tackle. He did it in college.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Did he play right?
He played left tackle. So he played left tackle last year after Jonah went down. I honestly would hate him. So at first he was right guard his rookie year, which was he never really played guard like that. Then this year he was left tackle when Jonah went down. He played way better at left tackle than at right guard. The only thing I hate is now you might have to move him to right tackle. So this kid is on his third position
playing musical chairs. Yeah,
he ain't gonna have his instincts are gonna be all off because that's like 3 different positions, 2 different sides.
But the kicker, but the good thing about Lyle, because a lot of people are like, oh, you can cut him and stuff like that. His contract is based off of games played. So technically, he may only end up that 10 million may only end up being like 4 million for somebody like Lyle.
Mike Brown ain't paying nobody to sit at home.
I mean, I think the Bengals have done a good job so far. Right? Obviously, we had with all these teams. One thing that annoys me, Ace, you hit on this, man. The fan base is treating free agency like training camp starts next week. Drives me freaking nuts. This happened with the Steelers when Cam Sutton got signed by the Lions like 6 hours into free agency. All my timeline is just Steeler fans like, oh my God, the Steelers corner room is the worst room I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like, guys, training camp doesn't start for 4 months. How about we give them more than 6 hours to figure out what they're going to do with this room before we freak out about how bad the room is? Holy cow.
Draft you.
Exactly.
Yeah, give it a break. Yeah, I mean, don't be that guy. By the way, in chat, if you're that guy, don't be that guy. Okay, we are basically in the opening drive of the offseason. Okay,
Yeah.
So
I mean, don't you guys
can't lose the game in the opening drive?
Yeah, but Tony, what you forget is that freaking out in the middle of the off season is like crack to football fans.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Don't you guys already have Porter Jr. signed up?
Joey Porter is just locked in at 17. Although
Addison, I can see Addison. By the way, I can see it.
I don't know about Addison anymore. When we get to the Steelers, I'll tell you what I think about the Steelers. I do think the signings lead to draft picks.
Dude, I already did my scouting in Addison, and oddly enough, you know who he reminds me of now that I think about? Your boy.
Who's a tiny, fast guy.
Deontay. He reminds me of Deontay.
Oh, yeah. No, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba's more Deontay.
No, I'm saying coming out of college.
Did you know Jackson Smith and Jigba was 6'5"?
No, he's not.
Wait, what?
No,
No, he's
I
not.
thought he mentioned it at that, right? I saw that somewhere.
I don't think so.
No, that will get him like top 10 pick.
He's like 6. He's like 6 feet.
The guy from TCU isn't even 6'5", or he's like 6'3". They thought he was like 6'4". I think he's like 6'2".
No, he looks big.
He looks big, but he's not.
Okay, no, 6'1". I got bad information.
Yeah.
I was like, because I remember watching. Like, this dude is 6'5". Like,
with his route running at 6'5", I would be, he'd be the number one overall pick for me. I don't care what he runs.
Okay, so moving on to the Steelers now, and
Addison reminds me of Keenan Allen more than anything, but like faster.
The Steelers went and got their guard Nate Herbig.
Nate Herbig, everybody knows a household name. Nate Herbig, everybody knows Big Nate.
Well, doesn't he have a brother at Wisconsin?
I don't know.
Larry Ogunjobi coming back.
Big O.
Back.
Then they signed 2 linebackers, Cole Holcomb and
another household name. Everybody knows Cole Holcomb.
And then they signed Pro Bowler, potential Hall of Famer.
No, future Hall of Famer. Put the gold jacket on him right now.
Peterson wanting the number 7, and Steelers fans said, not the best.
When he started tweeting about wanting number 7, and everyone's like, relax. Everybody relax.
Well, you're gonna see a lot of touchdowns with 7 out there. You know what I mean? Like, you might see him.
I mean, they would Pat Pete. Looking into his numbers from last year, he would have been the best. He would have been the best.
He had a bounce back year.
He had a crazy good year last year.
Yeah, I thought it was a good signing.
Quincy's probably thinking about the year before. But
no.
I mean,
okay. Here's the thing with the Pat Pete signing. I like it because do you want to pay Cam Sutton $11 million a year? Or would you rather pay Patrick Peterson the $4 million he's making this year? Look, the Cam Sutton thing. He's probably going to be a better player longer. Obviously, Patrick Peterson is 33 years old. But the problem with Cam Sutton is you can fool yourself then into thinking that you've got like a long-term answer at corner, and I don't think Cam Sutton is a true long-term answer. I mean, I think he's a number 2, not a number 1. You still need
but
to
you already have your number 1, don't you?
Yeah. Well, James Pierre is still on the roster, but there's only so many. There's only so many.
Where does this leave James Pierre?
Hold on. There's only so many James Pierre jokes I can make. Like, I'm running dry here. Like, the Steelers got to actually address this position at some point. And what I like about the Patrick Peterson signing, not only I think he can be a stopgap player, right? But I think he like incentivizes the Steelers. You still have to take a corner in the draft. I mean, this is a great corner draft. They have 4 picks in the top 100. Take a corner, maybe 2. And I don't think Patrick Peterson stops you from doing that. I do think one thing about Patrick Peterson that's weird. So he had a great year, bounce back year last year. Everybody knows that, right? You look at his numbers, crazy good. Okay, but he did play in a very zone-heavy scheme. And I don't know if you guys know about the Steelers. We didn't play a whole lot of zone. We are a very man-heavy scheme and have becoming more man-heavy. So are they changing schemes? Or are they really going to like make him play in a man-heavy scheme?
Well, but in my criticism of like, yeah, he did have a decent year last year, but like he also was on like the worst defense in the NFL last year. That might have something to do with like we're just not going to even test it because everything else is so bad.
He had a super high snap to target ratio, but like when they did target him, he had the most pass defense. He had 5 interceptions, right? I mean, he had the longest pass he gave up last year was only 39 yards. I mean, he didn't have like the snaps he did get targeted. It wasn't like he was getting beat every play. Now, his athleticism, obviously at 33, is not what it was when he was 26.
Yep.
So do I want him in one-on-one against Jamar Chase? Nope.
But
That's a big no for me.
Tony is, even if let's say you guys still keep a man, which is you don't change for Patrick Peterson. But the question for me is like, is it really? I mean, if he doesn't work, are you really burning that much money? No. This is no. If he doesn't work,
it's a 1 year rental with an option for year 2 if he's really good.
Now, we're talking about Joey Porter Jr. being a Steeler.
Yeah. That's happening.
Joey Porter, dad, is still a Steelers coach, right?
No.
He's on the Birmingham
5 years ago.
He's on the Birmingham Brahmas staff with Hines Ward.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right.
The San Antonio Brahmas.
He was not good. He's not a good coach. He's not a good coach.
You know what I can see happening. Joey Porter's there. Well, you guys have 17, right?
Yep. For
but
now,
you go with corner, but you know that school that Tomlin likes to draft from.
Oh, you're saying Deontay Banks?
Yeah.
Deontay Banks is good.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, I like Deontay Banks. He fits the profile, right? Big, fast. Tall, fast. Fast.
You guys are talking about all these first round prospects that I don't even know about because I haven't even cared about who's going to be going in the first.
Don't worry,
Tony, just stay away from Emmanuel Forbes. Stay away from him.
I don't know, man. You said this last week. I still don't even know.
I haven't checked him.
Yep, just keep it that way.
Yeah.
Just keep it that way.
I'm actually hoping. So the linebacker thing is interesting for the Steelers too because they cut Miles Jack and signed 2 new. They let Robert Spillane walk. By the way, you guys know how much. Like at the end of the day, I was always like Robert Spillane's their dude. Everyone they love Robert Spillane. They let him walk, which is crazy town. Did not see that coming. They rebuilt the entire linebacker room. Devin Bush gone. Miles Jack gone. Robert Spillane gone. 2 new dudes. They signed 2 guys in free agency who are both run stoppers first. Although I will say that Holcomb is like if Robert Spillane had athleticism. The problem is athleticism does not equal your ability to cover. So see Devin Bush. See Devin Bush. Devin Bush can't cover. Devin Bush very athletic. So I think the Steelers have to take a corner and a linebacker now in their first. Like they're 2 of their first 3 picks. I think have to be a corner and a linebacker. I'm getting called out. I am. The tournament's on. Who's not? Don't.
Who's
okay.
not
How many people
March
in chat
Madness?
right now have YouTube in half their window? Or like us on half their window and a tournament game on the other half.
The funny thing is that like there's a large amount of y'all that watch that are at work right now.
That's right. That's right.
It's like a window. It's like a reflection when you hold up a mirror to a mirror and it's just a bunch of reflections. There is somebody watching us at work while you're watching something, but you're technically working. You know what I mean? Like,
The real question is, does Tony have money on any of these games?
Oh, come on.
I lost listen, and you guys know how I feel about this. This is very impressive. I lost every bet I had yesterday. Every single
That's
one.
impressive.
That is impressive. It's just as impressive to lose all your bets as it is to win them all.
Yeah, I've operated that logic with the Browns before.
It's a 50-50. If it's a 50-50 proposition, Q, and you either win or lose everything, like you were onto something.
So the Browns winless season was just one of the most, remarkable seasons of all time.
Have you ever heard the phrase, don't be afraid to fade yourself?
Yeah.
I was just surprised that the guy saw the reflection. Like I know
that
the reflection was
right
there.
That's it. Yeah, we're gonna get copyright strike for putting
Nah, it's inverted. We good.
Mike,
You know what? I'm gonna give Tony his credit. I don't think he's been betting on like XFL or anything like that. So that's growth because I've seen this man bet on the Pro Bowl before. I've seen this man bet on the Hall of Fame game. You know what I mean?
Like, really missed the tweet where I did bet on the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah. You didn't bet on the dunk contest, no, or the 3-point contest.
They thought I was a degenerate for betting on the preseason. Tony, the NBA.
Will say, I mean, as long as we're talking about it, I will tell you that I had Team Giannis and the over, both of which hit. So, just saying.
Didn't even know that was a thing they allowed you to bet on. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Predator here says, Mike, your boy's best play Brown, Bengals over.
Best play Brown.
Okay. So
Mike, no PTO Brown. That's what it is. He no workers comp, no PTO, no nothing. You work, you get paid.
Well, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns because they were definitely the more busy team in the division. I know Q was loving this. They went DL. They went like, we are gonna go D lineman. They got Okoronkwo, Tristan Hill, Maurice Hurst, and the Q's new boy, Dalvin. You can see me doing it. Dalvin Tomlinson. And also added Taki resigned, and then the safety. I know Q was sad to see John Johnson go.
Yeah, it's his boy. Yeah, too
Right.
bad.
You know, just honestly, just make me the general manager of the Browns. We don't go after what's his name? I can't believe Jesse Bates. We don't go after Jesse Bates. That's a patented Q move. Literally deemed him the Allen Robinson of safeties right before he got a big deal from Atlanta. So thank you, Atlanta, for blowing that for me. And then we signed somebody on a smaller deal, Juan Thornhill, and then you get Dalvin Tomlinson, which is a big. You might as well just made me the general manager 2 years ago move, just like Perion Winfrey, because these are things I've been screaming about for years. So,
they didn't get Hargrave, though. Thank goodness.
Yeah, they would have got Javon Hargrave.
They were in the market for him, too.
Hargrave went to that. Like, if
I love the reports are like, hey, the Browns are still in on Jerry Jeudy. They're just the price is too high right now. I'm like, yo, what? Well,
they want a first-round pick, so yeah, it's pretty way out of them.
No, they said they'll take an early second. And we do have an early second.
Oh, you guys might have an early second next year.
Yeah, they want an early second of the player. So they want like Greg Newsome and something like that. That's just not happening for Jerry Jeudy. Like, but
when I saw if you would have told me like, where do you not think Hargraves would go? I would have told you the San Francisco 49ers. That D-line is like already amazing, right? What would they need? What would they want another one? Well, no. Let's add Hargraves to that. That D-line is nasty. That D-line is nasty.
They got Bosa. They got Hargrave.
Armstead. They had the other pass rusher. I'm like, they got the kid Kinshaw.
Oh, Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah.
The one that beat up that one dude.
That reporter.
Yeah.
Grant
Cohn. And even the media was like, well, Grant be tripping sometimes.
Yeah. I ended up finding out I found out about him because I was looking into the tackle that just ended up signing, and he was just going in on everybody. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, he might have deserved that a little bit. He was pretty brutal.
He was wearing sunglasses in the studio, and I just can't. I think that it was justified just off of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, just they got a lot.
Someone had him on like his show, and he just went AWOL on him. Like,
yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah,
we did miss this in chat, and it's a great point, which is I said like losing all your bets is just as impressive as winning all your bets. People in chat are pointing out Browns did go winless one year.
But that's what
That's what I said.
Oh, you said okay.
Yeah, that's why I said the winless Browns were probably the most impressive team of all time to Tony, because nobody has ever went undefeated in the modern area.
Sorry, I missed that.
But the Browns not only went winless, they went 1 win 1 year the year before. Like that back to back is probably one of the most impressive runs, right? 1-31.
Yeah, I mean that was what, Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson manufactured that. You know what I mean? Hugh Jackson.
He was a great
Sashi
coach,
Brown.
Hall of Famer in my book.
By the way, Hugh Jackson, Sashi Brown, who's handling the Lamar contract situation. Shout out to the big homie, man. Sashi Brown might be the most important figure in Browns history. First off, he stops us trading for AJ McCarron so we can keep the pick that becomes Nick Chubb. And then the man leaves, works for the Wizards, does nothing for them, gets hired by the Ravens, and the first thing he does is he gonna mess up this Lamar contract situation, and now Lamar might not be playing in the AFC North. Sashi Brown still getting paid by Jimmy Haslam. I guarantee it, Raven fans, because he ain't done nothing good for that area. He just came and sabotaged the whole DMV. How y'all gonna let him do that to y'all?
To finish here,
ain't he the dude that made one of them Bradley Beal deals too? Like the multiple bad deals they've made for Bradley Beal over the last 5 years.
I think he was the GM for the Wizards. For the Ravens, he's not the GM. He's more like
he's
the
a cap specialist. He's a cap specialist.
Community
outreach. He's
community outreach.
Community outreach. He's the cap specialist. Look, hey Tony, remember when TNA
he's in charge of finding guys in the first row who can play quarterback for them.
Yeah, Tony, remember when TNA would hire Vince Russo but swear he's not doing creative?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the Ravens are doing with Sashi Brown. Like, oh yeah, he's not involved in anything on the football side. We just hired this guy with a lot of football experience.
I love that.
To be community outreach. Okay, yeah.
Love that.
And then here they also signed Jordan Atkins, and then we signed the center Okay. So what do you think about the moves?
I think these are. I mean, like, we're talking about the Browns in the last like 5 years. This has been one of the more reasonable off seasons they've had, right? Where they haven't been trading for like a bunch of big names and just getting a bunch of small pieces. Like even Dalvin Tomlinson, which is definitely the biggest signing that they have here. It's a really responsible deal. It's what, $14 million over 2, I think 14 over 3 or something like that. And then they got Juan Thornhill 7 over 3. So that's the money that you might have had to give Jesse Bates. They put it into 2 players. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Juan has some upside there, and I don't think they're going to be asking a free safety to do that much there. Dalvin's a good move there. I think Maurice Hurst and Tristan Hill, like those are guys who are going to be flyers. They're going to be competing with some of the guys on the roster. You said what?
For depth?
Yeah, for depth. Or I mean, like Maurice Hurst hasn't played a game since 2020 or something like that. Like 2021, early 2021. He's just as rusty as like Deshaun Watson was. So who knows if he's even like an NFL player still. But yeah, I think this has been a pretty reasonable one. They're getting the positions that make sense for this team, given what we saw last year. A tight end makes sense. I expect there to be one more move for wide receiver, probably somewhere in that McCole Perriman range. Maybe they make a trade for somebody who's still on the rookie deal. That's a little bit, huh?
OEJ?
Odell's not coming back though. I don't know why this.
I saw y'all were in attendance.
That's right. The Browns were in attendance.
Ace, every 3 months it starts. Odell's coming back. I have no inside sources. I don't know, but look, I can promise you, Odell Beckham's never playing for the Cleveland Browns again.
But if he did,
promise you this.
Think about for content, Q. I mean, just for the content, think about it.
Now he need to go back. He need to go to Tampa Bay and reunite with him.
That's the other place.
That's I was about to say that's the reunion that we need and we deserve.
Reunion, I would watch every minute.
I would get season tickets to Tampa Bay. Me and Tony would be at every home game I would drive to see it, and then I would see the game that they play in Atlanta. I would be all in on that because that's got to go well, right? Both these dudes, same ego, way past their prime. Like, that's going to go great. So I need that reunion. Maybe they sign Lamar halfway through the season to make this even more interesting. By the way, a team that's not interested in Lamar, Tampa Bay, like, how?
Yeah. Well, we do have some teams that are clearly doing the tank for Caleb thing or whatever, crap for Caleb, whatever we're going to end up calling
it. Look, Caleb's that good to where I'm like, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Some teams are going to end up doing that. So
they be putting them Caleb Williams clips out there. I'll be like, I forgot he did that. And I watched every game USC played this year. Like, he is. Oof.
He's good. He's good at football.
Feeling dangerous just says, Q, why are you gonna call me out watching you at work? I even got my CB radar turned down.
I hope you truck driving and not security. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I hope he's not truck driving. You cannot watch while you're driving. Do not do that. You can listen to
he's listening. You don't need to watch it. He's listening to us while he's driving on the road.
My dad put the super chat back up. Yeah, first of all, he's sending super chats. So hope
you know what I mean?
That's like a lot of clicks you gotta do.
He is in chat.
Yeah,
but look,
that's a lot of clicks you gotta do.
Tony, I would just say this. As somebody whose father was a truck driver for 30 years, I have seen that man do stuff in that truck that you would be shocked to know that truck drivers do while they drive. I watched this man
when you're
change.
driving that much. Okay, when you're driving
change
the
outfit.
Clearly, but
and the roads might not be busy. He might be like in the middle of Oklahoma somewhere, but the CB radio less important in the truck than it would be like if he was working security.
So he
might be on the West Coast.
All right, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
we're gonna give Feeling Dangerous the benefit of the doubt here.
I mean, there's many reasons why you would have a CB radio like at work.
Yes, and one of them is truck driving.
Might be a taxi driver. We out here just
right here says Hugh Jackson said after the 1-15 season, we're not going 1-15 next year. Then he went.
Hugh Jackson.
Hey man, go hard and go home. That was the year Hugh Jackson did a QB sneak for the 5-yard line with 2 seconds left in the first half, and then we ended up losing that game by like 3. Like Hugh Jackson, man. hilarious era. Just a hilarious era of football. Just some stuff happening. I'm like, man, I wish he was mic'd up.
That era, right? You got some good picks because we
got Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and Nick Chubb out of it. But boy, was it painful going through it. Like, I don't know if any of y'all watching the XFL, but like the Orlando team is probably the worst team I've ever seen in my life. And they have everything mic'd up on there. And it's like, yo, this is what it was like on the Browns in 2016. Like, these were the conversations that were being had, because that is the most dysfunctional football team I've seen in my life, except for the 2016-17 Browns.
Is that the team that Hines Ward coaches?
No, that's the team that Terrell Buckley coaches.
Oh, okay. I was worried.
Yeah, by the way, Orlando ain't showing up for that one, boy. That stadium is going to be sad when they get back on. They like 0-4. It's a 10-game season. That's done. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
By the way, Sashi Brown is the team's president.
Team president.
Sounds like he's in charge.
Sashi Brown doing a lot of good work.
Wait, so who's Ward's? Who's he coaching?
Hines? I don't know.
Vegas?
No, he's coaching San Antonio.
The Brahmas?
Yeah, the team wearing black and yellow.
Got it.
DC has a good team in the XFL. Look at that.
Yeah, Greg Double G doing his thing out there. Well, he's not the head coach, he's the DC.
Love it.
Yeah, you better get to them DC games, Sonny. You know, you better support the squad.
Literal Steeler.
Yeah.
Like a steel man?
Yeah, like steel man, right? I mean, that's what I assumed.
I mean, that's what I'm assuming. Okay. Why do they have CB radio?
Why would a steel man need to have a CB radio?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, look, man, you good? Like,
it survives the heat or something. You know what I mean? It survives the heat. There's a lot of imagine it's hot. I don't know.
Anyway,
appreciate you writing in, feeling dangerous.
Hey, appreciate that. You know what I mean?
For a moment, I thought he was saying that he was a Steeler. I'm like, but he a Brown? Like,
no, it's like there's a player on the Steelers who's a really big Browns fan and loves AFC North.
Oh, Justin Lane still on the Steelers?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Who would be like a closet Browns fan on the Steelers right now?
Joe Hayden.
That's right. He's a rat for going back and retiring a Brown. His best years were as a Steeler.
His best years? Okay.
His best years.
His most successful years on the team were with the Steelers, but like, you know.
Yeah.
Ask AJ Green, which was the best Joe Hayden. I'm pretty sure he would tell you in brown and orange. He used to give AJ Green that business back in the day.
I could see Benny Snell could be a Browns fan.
No. You forget the biggest Browns fan of all, according to Big Ben. He's the biggest Browns fan of all time, right? You know,
that's
it broke
true.
his heart
Ben
so much that the Browns didn't take him in 2004. That he had to spend the next 25 years making my life miserable, right? Oh, stupid ass Ben narrative. I'm glad he's retired. I hope his podcast bombs.
He has a podcast?
Yeah.
Of course, he has. Everybody has a podcast. Arthur Moats has a podcast. Arthur Moats has a podcast. You think Big Ben ain't got one?
That's true. Okay, guys. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Oh wait, they have one last.
Wait, we got one more.
Who they in is beat.
Oh, where are you at? Because you couldn't be at the Super Bowl because you hated that this year. Nope.
Wow.
Anyway,
were you guys in the playoffs?
Look, listen, we're not talking about us.
Winning season, anyone? Hey. Raise your hand if you had a winning season this year.
I'm preparing for a winning season in playoffs for the Cavs right now. Raise your hand if you have a basketball team in your city right now. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if your NFL team got a basketball team. Raise your hand. Baltimore has no NBA team. Baltimore has no NBA team. Pittsburgh has no NBA team. And Cincinnati has no NBA team. Don't claim Orlando. Nah, I've been there. Y'all live nowhere near Amway. Okay.
Close to Amway. We're like a quick 20-minute drive down.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. What time? What time? 2 in the morning?
I mean, I don't want to claim the Magic right now. I don't think claiming the Magic. Right now
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Only first class city in the division is the one with the basketball and the baseball team. Everybody else has 2 sports teams in their cities, except for hockey. But hockey doesn't count. So Pittsburgh, get out of here. Second class.
One random Orlando fact, and Sonny, you'll appreciate this because you were here recently and hated the traffic. They built these new express lanes on I-4, which is like our main highway, right? And it goes right to the theme parks. But the express lanes end like right before the traffic for the theme park starts. So it's like you get on this express lane, it's great, and then you get off, and it's like theme park traffic forever.
How much is the express lane?
It's super cheap. No one rides it. It's like 50 cents a toll or whatever. So
okay.
Yeah,
not bad.
No, it's not bad at all because no one rides it, and I love it because I go to work twice a week now, and I use it.
Nice. Okay, here Ray Rag before we go says, if there was at least a neutral level coach, we probably would have won a couple of those games during that 1-31.
A couple.
That 1-15 team was underrated.
Ray Rags is a Browns fan?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I thought he was a Ravens fan.
No.
Nope.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. Ray Rags is the one who had me bet 20-1 last year.
Exactly.
And that 0-16 team, y'all forget, we had a point differential of like 3 for like half the season. Everybody was like, is this the best winless team ever? Yeah.
Nice.
Man, not a high bar to clear. Winless with Myles Garrett on it. That's a crazy stat. You went winless and you had Myles Garrett on the team. Like they had talent on that team.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we'll be back here next.
Jordan Poyer was on one of them teams, man.
Make sure you follow us. Make sure
Josh
you hit
was
that
on
bell
one of them
so you know when we come live. If you want to support us a little bit more, make sure you check us on Patreon. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, if you want one of us opinions on draft prospects, send us a DM through Patreon, and we'll answer back. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time. Ciao a tutti.